Coach, what stuck out most on film in terms of improvement from game one to game two?
Winning.
Yeah. Can you expound on that?
I've talked about it. Like I said right after the game, I thought that we talked about our effort on offense and defense has been really good the last couple of weeks. The first game, we needed to increase our effort on special teams. That happened. And I think there were some positive results in the return game because of that, particularly punt return. Not as much on kickoff return. We've got to get better there. And I thought, it was a great team win. Go on the road. Things don't always go right early. Our defense was consistent, kept them out of the end zone. Our special teams held field position or changed field position with returns, and then gave us an opportunity to get going offensively and get rolling and close out the game. So that's a team win, there's some things involved in that from a adjustment standpoint, but for players, coaches, everything else, I thought, not much being said about it. But, when you have a new team and a new situation, things are different for you in travel process. The routine's different. Our first time going on the road and playing, I thought our guys handled it well.
I know you're in the midst of the season, but any particular special meaning for you getting your first win with this program?
I don't know. I mean, I just was hoping it would come sooner than last week. So, it's always good to win. The way it is during the year, Sam, you know how it is. You're about 10 minutes after that's over with, you're on to who do we play next week, and then what are we going to do, and particularly when you have a bus ride. But no, it's good to win. We don't take that for granted. Winning's hard. No matter what it is, there's a lot of preparation and time that goes into that. Not just for you personally, but coaches and players, everything that comes about. And so, yeah, it's good, but we got a lot more games this season to worry about.
Ryan Everson was in a pretty good battle at punter. What has he done? Has he been?
I thought he was above average the first game. I thought he was average Saturday. I think the net punting average is excellent. It's one of the tops in the country. Our coverage has been very, very good. I thought Saturday was not his best effort. That being said, it was, from a statistical standpoint, it was pretty good, which tells you what I think he's capable of. So what we're looking for, just like everybody else, I think our specialists, as good as they were a week ago, last week we were very average. We missed a 28-yard field goal. We had some short punts that put our defense in some bad positions. We got a couple bounces. And what we're looking for out of our team, just like we're looking for out of our specialists, is consistency. What we can count on from you, not 56 yards on a punt and 38 yards on a punt, or 33 yards. We need we'd rather have a 40-yard guy every time, or a guy who's going to make field goals, something that we can count on. That's not just picking on specialists. That's everybody across the board. And I think that's, as your team gets better, that's the mark of a good team, is consistency, not a team that rides the wave and plays at different levels.
What was it that separated Everson from Kaiser in camp, where he ultimately won the job?
He was better during camp. I mean, you could ask me the same thing about Johnny or anybody else. I mean, they were better. They were better over the course of.
It really is kind of a story of perseverance.
Yeah.
I know you weren't here, but it seems like he's in these fights every year, and somehow he emerges. So there must be something about his character as well.
Yeah. I know that during fall camp, and as I said, coming into the first ball game, the things that concern me. The main concerns were our defensive line and our specialists, and they performed well in that first ball game. And I think that developed confidence in the group. Now, from there on, now your real challenge comes, because handling success can be more difficult than handling defeat or handling difficulties. And so how you deal with that, how you approach it from here on out, to me, it speaks to your consistency level, and that's what we're looking for.
Kevin, is your approach this week any different than it was before the Florida game in terms of quality of team coming in? They've just
We just played a game last week. What about the approach last week?
well for a home game, and the kids obviously are really fired up. This week as a team that's lost 56-0, and you're heavily favored against. Will you take a different approach
No,
to getting them
we
ready
won't
to
take
play
a
at
different
home?
approach. We won't take a different approach. You know, we've got to be ready to play, and you know, we didn't. I don't know that we took a much different approach in any game that we play. You know, based on where we are, who we are, what we've accomplished, I don't know that we can, you know, not take anybody very, very seriously.
Are Michael and Campbell back on for this week? Was that a one-game suspension?
Yeah.
Are they starters?
When that, I thought that was released.
It might have been.
I thought it was just released that they were suspended for that game. I've got, you know what? I got to read the releases from now on because you guys, you're going to pick it apart.
Are they starters? They come back as starters when they come back in that situation?
I don't know. They got to practice.
Okay.
You earn your way.
As long as we're on that subject, during the game, your senior running back is tweeting and saying, "Man, run the ball." Does that bother you at all, or do you address that with him, or you just say?
I had a discussion with Christian about that yesterday.
Coach, what are the challenges you see that South Carolina State will present you guys Saturday?
I think Buddy Pugh does a great job. It's a guy that has coached at I first met him when he was coaching with Lou Holtz at South Carolina. He was there for a long time, and a guy that does a great job. The MEAC has won championships there. They're going to give you a variety of wide-open run game, quarterback run game, spread the field, reverses. I think he's one of those guys, once you see one play, if he runs a reverse, don't forget about it because he won't be afraid to run it again 2 or 3 times. So you watch them play. They're wide open on offense, all over the field, spread. Going to test our defense from sideline to sideline. Defense the same way. I've watched their special teams. I think he tries to block every punt if he gets you to punt. So they twist, bringing guys from everywhere. It'll be good for us because we've been, you know, we've worked a lot yesterday and special team stuff, just things that traditionally you don't see from a lot more conservative type teams, but things that we need to see that can really prepare us down the road.
What have y'all seen from Tony Hurd, and what does he bring you on defense when he's in the game?
Tony Hurd is a high-energy player and an effort player. You know, you can't have enough of those guys on your team. He's a guy that, you know, you always, well, I wish he was bigger. I wish he was this. I wish he was that. You know what? He just makes plays. He's a great tackler. You know, he's on kickoff cover. Really a knowledgeable player and a good football player, high football IQ, and makes other guys around him better by communication of different things that he sees, getting us lined up, particularly on the perimeter. But he also plays with great energy, and I would say that's probably his biggest asset, because what he lacks in some other things, he gains because of his knowledge and his energy, and I think our players feel that and feed off of it. So, you know, Tony's one of those guys that's fun to be around. I laugh and joke with him all the time, and practice. He's always in a good mood. You know, he's just a great guy to be around. He's great for our team.
Overall, how do you think the secondary played, and particularly DeShazer?
You know, moving DeShazer looks natural. Looks like he's comfortable at safety. You know, I think we've got some interchanging parts back there, which I think is good. I think it was good for Otis Jacobs to play a lot. You know, that's the reason we recruited him. Get the first interception, which was, you know, a high point deal for him, staying on top in coverage. I like to see him coming along. I thought Dustin Harris did some good things Saturday as far as the knock on Dustin is, will he stick his face in there? Will he tackle? I thought he did a pretty good job of that. He's always been a decent cover guy, but will he be physical enough? Because the league we're going to play in, or we're playing in, is going to make they make a corners tackle, period, and it's not a finesse secondary league. So, our challenge for our guys is to get better. I think we went from 11 missed tackles against Florida to 5 on the perimeter in a spread game, which is an improvement. And we got a turnover. So defensively, from a technique standpoint and from a statistical standpoint, we did get better. And I thought, it's going to take that type of improvement and the consistency for us to be successful.
Can you talk about the attitude and effort of DeMontre Morris since you've been here?
Yeah, DeMontre is, as I've said before too, is really growing up, and he's been a guy who's always had talent, and it gets back to, I know I keep using this word consistency. It's probably our biggest challenge right now. And it may have been, from what I have seen from our players, has been our program's biggest challenge, is to go out week to week and perform at a certain level, whatever that level is, and the expectation to play at that level every week instead of like this, and it's been my experience that comes with maturity. And so, I would say that right now that, DeMontre's been challenged through spring, through 2-a-days. And, the first week he played very well. The last week he played well again. So, hopefully this will continue. But I think what you're seeing is a more, a guy who's talented, but a guy who's growing up and understands that his role. The biggest thing that DeMontre did, I think he played all but 5 plays against Florida. 55 snaps. He was in the 50s again this week. He would have never done that last year. So he is. That's strength and conditioning, but that's also mental toughness too. And as I said, I think that's more of a part of the expectations from him, but also by himself, and the fact that, as you become a mature player, you understand that it's not all about you or when you can go, it's about the team, and I think he's starting to figure that out. And that being said, I think that's a challenge for everybody on this football team. And that's something we talk about at length. That's something that we talk about as a team. And I think, you're starting to see some guys that are buying into that. Not everybody has. But, it's good to see DeMontre Moore do that.
Do you typically see guys make that, take that step that you're describing to Montre, between their sophomore to junior years, just...
No. It doesn't. It happens for people at different times. Some guys, it never happens.
So Johnny carved up a CUSA defense with his running and things like that. When y'all get into SEC play, are you going to be wanting him to run that much, or?
We're going to do whatever it takes to try to win the game. So.
Do you think he'll have as much success as he had on Saturday running the ball?
Sounds like you don't.
Yeah,
that's probably right. Yeah. So otherwise, you wouldn't ask it. I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. So I think that the improvement for Johnny from one Saturday to the other Saturday, was his ability to throw the ball from the pocket and keep his eyes down the field. I think as the season goes on, that will continue to improve.
Coach, how much is Larry Jackson's strength and conditioning program over the offseason helped with the consistency of your football team right now?
I don't know. I wasn't here last year. I've been with Larry for the last 5 years, so I know I'm used to this.
Back to Johnny, does he ever amaze you with his ability to improvise? And I mean, did you teach him that little jump thing he did? Or?
No. No, we didn't teach him that. No, he's no. I mean, he's a guy that obviously you saw that in high school, and what he's finding out is he is not the fastest or most talented guy on the field. So, for a lot of players that go through that, you have to figure out what you can do with your strengths and what you can't do with your weaknesses. And as you start to develop as a quarterback or as a player, I'd put Trey Williams in that boat too. That he's finding out that there's some other guys out there that are pretty good. And everybody says, well, he's been 2 or 3 times an ankle tackle away from a touchdown. That's the difference between Trey Williams in high school and Trey Williams in college football. So, it's no different for a quarterback. When you're used to having success doing certain things a certain way, as you progress, you start to learn the game, the speed of the game, what you can get away with, what you can't. You get better, and the only way to really do that is to play. And we can talk till we're blue in the face about what we want him to do, what we don't want him to do, but he's a very talented guy that has got to continue to work on, as I said, moving from, which he's done a pretty good job. Cliff has done a good job with him, and he has too, of moving from a athlete that's playing quarterback to a quarterback that's an athlete, and there's a big difference.
Some of the guys that got in late that were seeing their first actual season, anything that stood out to you?
I thought Jamil played very well, and then it just goes back to what I said earlier that, he and Joko played well through camp. It wasn't the fact that those two guys didn't play well, just Johnny played a little bit better through camp. And I think it was important to get Jamil in the game and with the other guys on offense, just so he would have confidence in his abilities to play in a live situation, and our team would have confidence in him in case something were to happen. And so I thought he executed extremely well, put another score on the board, went right down the field, took care of the football, operated really penalty-free from his standpoint. No delay of game, no real. I thought he did an excellent job. So, that gives, as I talked to our players about, you first of all, you having confidence is one thing, but the team and the coaches having confidence in you is a whole nother situation. So, when you're able to be put in a situation like that and be successful, I think it helps everybody. So we had a number of guys go in and do that. I thought that, but for the most part, I thought, Jamil being able to go in and operate like that was a real good situation for us.
When you inherited Mike Evans in the spring, did you sense how raw he was as a football player?
We knew how raw he was in Houston. He came to camp. And when I was at Houston, he played 1 year of football. Matter of fact, one of the first camps he came to was our camp at Houston, and he ran a corner out and looked over the wrong shoulder. He was looking, the ball was coming over here. He's looking for the football. That's how raw he was. So, yeah, I know how raw he is.
It's pretty amazing what he's done in a short amount of time, but it's also nice to have that big athletic 6'5" guy.
Yeah, he's, and there's I remember there's a magazine in Houston, I think it's Vite magazine, it has a bunch of high school prospects in it. I remember looking at a picture of him, and there was a picture in it. They had the top 50, I think, athletes in Houston. And there was a picture of him in there with his head about this low below the rim with a basketball. And, what an athlete. And I use the term, he's a tweener at 6'5". And, living in Indiana when I was in high school, a tweener at 6'5" means you have no jump shot. That's what that means. So he couldn't play the post at 6'5", And, you know, he redshirted last year, played 1 year high school football, and is really gaining confidence right now. And I think, you know, he will get better as time goes on. I mean, he really hasn't played very much. His understanding of the game, his understanding of the coverages, his releases, things like that, he's still very, very raw. But because of his size and his strength, he's got really good hands. He's got really good hand-eye, and you know, he's the other things will come to him, but I think it's important to him too, and that's he's a real competitor. You know, and no matter what he does, he really competes well, and you know, I think a couple years from now we'll really see something special.
Coach, did you see your receivers grow up a little bit on Saturday, just from the standpoint that they came back to the football more and learned what you guys have told them that they needed to work on after the Florida game? Yeah,
I don't know that they came back to the ball more. I think that they I think it's a combination. I think you saw a quarterback who didn't just put the ball down and run and not look down the field. I think it's some receivers who understood that when Johnny takes off, that's not the end of the play. If he gets outside the pocket, that's not the end of the play. And the guys are starting to understand, you know, playing together. So that's a two-way street, you know. And as guys get to learn each other's style and get a feel for each other, that you get better. That's no different on any team I've ever been a part of. And these guys this is the first time they've played together, really. I mean, you've got a couple seasoned veterans at wide receiver, but, you know, they've never been in a real game situation with Johnny except for the last 2 weeks. So, you know, practice is important, but and playing together and getting a feel for each other is about as important as anything else.
How would you assess the offensive line's play in the first 2 games?
You know, it's been hit and miss. You know, I think they've protected our quarterback pretty well. I think we've been able to run it at times. I think a lot of it has to do with the scheme. You know, basically what you saw was SMU adapt to the same scheme that Florida had at probably the fourth quarter of the football game, which when you're outnumbered, you know, no matter how many more guys you add in there, they add another 1 or 2, it means you got to throw the football, and unless it's short yardage. And until we were able to show that we would throw the ball downfield or sit in the pocket and throw and complete passes, that continued. So, you know, I think, you know, people a lot of different times, offensive football is about having answers and having answers for different situations. And a lot of times that's not on one position, if that makes sense. And so in order to be effective offensively, you cannot be one-dimensional. You've got to be able to do a couple different things, and you got to do those well. And, you know, we had not shown the ability against Florida to really drop back and throw the ball effectively, particularly down the field. And early in the game, Saturday that was the case too. And that could be from a number of reasons, but I think what you saw was a quarterback who has been very, very careful with the ball, has taken care of it in a great way, which has been his biggest plus so far, and then which is very underrated for a freshman. And because of that, has been cautious with what he's done. And over the course of the game, be able to say, all right, here's what we've got to do to help us win, and be able to cut it loose and make some good throws, you know, either from the pocket or on the move. So, and that's what's going to have to happen.
Because we do write so much about Johnny and a guy like Mike Evans, is there any kind of timetable on when they'll be made available, or is that just something you take week to week?
Yeah, week to week. We'll see pretty soon. Game 2.
Anything else? All right.
All right.
Coach, thank you.
Appreciate it.